Hello, Ben Norcott from theathletecoach.com. Today I wanted to talk about using a $15 app on your iPhone 6 to do a detailed sprint analysis on yourself or your athletes. Now, you've probably heard of the My Sprint app before, and if you haven't, I'll give you a rundown of what it is. So it uses your phone to create video that is at 240 frames per second. And using that video and the app combined, you can basically work out times for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 and 30 meter speeds. Now, I've taken this app a little bit further and used the video to then develop a stride frequency count for the 30 meter test. Added a spreadsheet where you can just punch in certain details, and those details I'll get to a little bit later, and you can work out ground contact times for your strides that you wanted to look at. Most people tend to look at between 1 and 6, or if you wanted to take a look at all of them, you can do that in this spreadsheet that I've created, or if you wanted to do analysis at different areas, so your first 5, your middle strides and your last strides. Then you can find out its strengths and weaknesses and the amount of time that your players spend in ground contact and how much force they produce. You can do that all within this spreadsheet. Okay, so let's take a look at the workflow to create a really good detailed sprint analysis using the My Sprint app and then the video from that app creates, and then combining that with the spreadsheet that I've created to work out stride frequency and ground contact time. Now, quickly going through this, remember you can pause at any stage to take a look. Step 1, get the app on your phone. That seems fairly obvious. Set up players in the app, and it'll ask for their height and their weight. I suggest that you measure particularly their weight on the day that you're actually doing the sprint testing. Let me move away a little bit. So step 2, set up the testing area. Now it's really important that you get this correct. Use the app's information to work out the distances. And the reason why you really have to get it quite accurate is the following. When you have the video camera, it will be set up here, and it's about 18 meters away from the 15 meter mark. Now within the app, we're actually measuring 30 meters. So from 0 to 30 meters is what it measures. So because that is 18 meters away, you can realize that if you've got someone running through here, because of that aspect, a 5 meter mark between each marker pole will be slightly different because of the angle. So within the app, the researchers that have created the app have actually got distances that are slightly different from 5 that work out what is 5 meters based on that aspect. So really important that you get that correct. Then the next stage in that step is to video your athletes. So I suggest that you have a couple of coaches, or you yourself, or you test it a couple of times to make sure that you're getting the video correct, because you actually have to play with some of your settings and your zoom settings to make sure that you can actually see as well. Now the last stage in this step that I suggest makes a really big difference is using a tripod on the video. Now, to get an extension for your phone can be quite expensive to get a phone fitting onto your tripod. So what I did, and it's a very cheap solution, was went to a cheap store and got a selfie stick, took off the attachment for the selfie stick, then attached that to the attachment that you can sit onto a tripod. And that's a $4 or $5 solution for you, probably even cheaper as well these days. Now, step 3, you use the app to measure the times. So when you've done the video analysis, you use the app and you look very carefully, and when someone's started their sprint, and I'll let you decide what's the start, I use once their back leg has moved away from the ground as my way, and I use the first part of their body that's broken their pole. You may want to use something different for the pole. Some people look at when their hips go through there. It's really up to you, but make sure that you always measure the same way, and the producers of the app have some suggestions there as well. Now let's move on to step 4. So you've actually used the full capacity of the MySprint app. Now, you've measured their time, so you've got times for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 and 30. It's actually produced a report for you and a max velocity outcome. So what you do is you use that information plus you download the video onto a Mac. Really important that you use a Mac because that's using 240 frames per second. The Mac's capable of actually replaying that in that time. I'm sure there's other programs out there. I've just found it very beneficial when I've done that before. So again, download the video to your Mac and then enter in the times that this has created here. And once you enter in that last 30-meter time, it'll give you a max velocity outcome as well. So step 5, what you do then using your Mac, you count, or you can actually use the app on your phone, you count how many strides it took an athlete for the 30 meters. So it could be anywhere from 15 to 25, depending on your athlete height and their sprinting style. So, and some is better and some is worse. So enter in that stride frequency. Once you do that, if you want, within the spreadsheet, you can take a look and then calculate the stride length based on that frequency as well, if that's something that you want to take a look at as well. Now, what you do from there is you go to the video that you've downloaded on the Mac and you can actually count each individual frame of foot contact time. So what you do there, just say we're looking at the first foot contact. As soon as it touches the ground to coming through and leaving. So I just hit each individual frame across on the Mac. So you knew when I hit one frame, just hitting the arrow across, I knew that was a frame and just counted those up. When you count those, you can then enter that into the spreadsheet and that will automatically, because of a formula I've got running in the background, create a ground contact time for you. So you can look at, is there a difference between the right and left leg based on someone coming back from injury? Or there might be a massive discrepancy with the amount of ground to contact time on someone's right or left leg, or they might be spending a lot of time in acceleration, longer than they need, or more than likely, which happens sometimes, they're actually spending shorter amounts of times in the first 5 steps. And that can influence how you're going to program for that person. Do they need to work on a lot of calf reactive stiffness because they're spending too much time on the ground? Do you have to develop more strength in single leg? Particularly, is there a difference between right and leg that you need to work on and address? So these are really good decisions that you can make. Now, you can actually work out, if you wanted to, the contact time for every single stride through that. That's a pretty detailed analysis and not everyone will do that. I tend to look at the first 5 or 6 and then I might take a look at the times within the last 10 meters, so the 20 to 30 meter mark, to see are they actually spending too much time on the ground when they're at higher speeds, and that'll influence my decision making as well. Now, the last step is to repeat this test at a later stage. Once you've got some training intervention or you've done some analysis and gone, well, I'm going to implement a couple of slight different variations within my training to have a greater effect on my running mechanics, then you can come later on and take a look and did that change. So hopefully you've really enjoyed that. If you want access to this spreadsheet, I've got a link below as well that you can do that. For people that are looking for really good athletic performance coaching, please get in contact. I've got that link below as well. And just to let you know, I've got individual coaching where I do an hour analysis with someone once a month, either in my gym, or we can do that via Skype if you're a remote athlete. Coming up now, so I'm only looking at taking on 10 athletes to do that. If you'd like a strength and power program for a forward or a back, I've actually just started a program as well, and all of these training will be delivered by an app with exercise videos as well, so you'll have a really good understanding of how to do your program, and there'll be a video so that you can take a look at the exercise. And if anyone would like to contact me about consulting for their team or helping out any of their sporting programs,